Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode in my special edition series of interviews in collaboration with the TwoCan Mentoring Network. My name's Bev. Continuing over the next few weeks, I'll be bringing you stories from a number of people across the agricultural sector who've taken the opportunity to seek out the help of a mentor to support them in the next phase of their career. Mentoring, as distinct from coaching and training, is very much a two-way street, allowing both parties to steer the learnings as the situation dictates. But the TwoCan programme also provides for some structured learning, as well as an invaluable network of like-minded people looking to support, share and connect. A recurring theme in these interviews is just how effective the matching process is between mentor and mentee. During the onboarding process, both mentors and mentees go through the same training, outlining their career journey, goals and reasons for joining the programme. Looking at the whole person and conducting an in-depth interview ensures that not only are specific skills considered, but that personal values are surfaced, moving beyond matching simply based on job titles alone. Aligning characteristics, learning styles and behavioural dimensions make for a truly strong connection. My guests today are Max Randall, Group Technical and Sustainability Manager for BerryWorld, and John Pawsey, Organic Mixed Arable and Sheep Farmer, who continues to hold many interesting consultative positions in the agricultural sector alongside running his farm in Suffolk. Max and John catch up with me and explain what it is about mentoring that helped both of them take away learnings that continue to apply long after the time spent together on the 6-month programme. Here we are, starting off with a bit of background. When was the last time you spoke?
Oh, was it February? No.
God, I can't remember.
God,
I do think about you, Max, and think about how things are going. So it's really good to see you again.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I'll be honest. I meant to try and put something in the diary before this. I'll be honest. Like time got away from me.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I think this process builds up relationships that hopefully sustain and carry on afterwards. So Max, whilst I've met you before and you're at BerryWorld,
Yep.
it would be helpful if you could just sort of introduce what your role is, what you're doing there, and then John the same, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what the mentoring was about.
Yes. So, as you said, I work for BerryWorld. My job title is Group Sustainability and Technical Manager. So I work on our sustainability work around the business, mostly looking at greenhouse gas emissions, particularly grower emissions, because that's what's the most significant for us as a business, as a marketing company. So that's the sustainability side, and then on the technical side of things, I mostly do food safety audits for the retailers, which is largely involves spending time out in South Africa, doing food safety audits there with our growers in Zimbabwe as well. But I've done audits all over in Egypt, in Jordan, Italy, the UK. So I've been around.
Terrific. How glamorous. Possible in the world of growing berries.
Well, if you'd asked 18-year-old me, I wouldn't have known.
Terrific. And John, what's your background?
So I'm a farmer from just south of Bury St Edmunds. I took over my maternal side of the family's farm in 1985. We converted the farm to organic production in 1999. So we've been farming organically for sort of 26 years. We have various diversification projects on the farm, mainly revolved around renewables, but also environmental schemes, but very keen. I see myself as a farmer, but also an environmentalist in sort of equal measure. We also farm for 6 other people in the local area. So we're farming about 5,000 acres, all farmed organically, with my wife, my son Rufus, and a small team. Yeah, so keeping quite busy.
Okay. Well, when did you first learn of the TwoCan organisation to look at becoming a mentor for yourself?
Well, I was contacted by TwoCan, and I'd never considered being a mentor. I think they were for training, and so I was either going to be a mentor or a mentee. They thought that I would be good as a mentor, which I was flattered by. To be honest, I mean, I did it because I had a young team at the time, and I felt that I would benefit for some mentor training, because essentially I was mentoring by default.
Yeah.
Then of course I was introduced to Max, and we started it. And every single time, it was one of those things where every single time you look at your diary and think, "Oh my God, my diary's so full. I've got a mentoring session coming up." And every single time I had a mentoring session with Max, I always came out of it thinking, "God, I'm so glad I'm doing that." Because I felt that it's rewarding for me, and hopefully it was rewarding for Max. And so it then encouraged me to go and take somebody on to start with somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing it was rewarding. Otherwise, we wouldn't probably be sat here having this conversation. Um, for you, Max, so how long had you been in your current established job, and really what was it about the process that you thought, okay, I think mentoring's maybe something that I might want to look at?
Well, so I think I'd been in the role for 5 or 6 years. Yes, I've been in the role for 5 or 6 years, and I saw it came through as an opportunity from a charitable trust that I'm an alumni of their scholarship of. I thought it would be a good opportunity, but I thought it was a good opportunity not just for me, but I thought it would be a good opportunity because it involved mentoring training. I thought it'd be a good thing to do for the people who I train.
Yeah.
As part of this role, and also future manage as well. So,
Yeah. And,
so it wasn't
and
just
so through
the dual
the
purpose.
trust, beg your pardon, through the trust relationship that was established with TwoCan, they reached out to their members.
Yeah. So I'm on the alumni newsletter through the charitable trust, and then there's a relationship between TwoCan and the charitable trust, and it just came through as an opportunity for a sponsored place, which was really great because I mean I applied for that scholarship.
Yeah.
That's part of maybe as long ago as 10 years ago now, I think.
Uh-huh.
So it's nice to see that there were still opportunities coming through from something I applied for and received 10 years or so ago.
Good stuff. What did the pair of you do in your first sort of introductory meetings? That we'll talk about the matching process, which I've had some involvement in from an end user, and also helping with others be paired up, if you like. What were your impressions after that first meeting in terms of, this is going to work, or I can see something in this that's where there's parity?
Me and John, because we did the training together, and we ended up.
Did you already know that you were going to be paired up at that point?
No. So it was just by chance, really. So it all worked out quite well. So we were just having lunch during the training day, and ended up just talking on a bench in the beer garden. So we sort of got to know each other on the training day. So then, when we found out that we were paired, it made sense, really. And so that kind of helped the first session because we both knew each other anyway. So there's no anxiety or awkwardness.
No, I think I felt the same actually, and it's a strange relationship actually, but and I think you have to be careful about the relationship because obviously I think there has to be some kind of chemistry between two people for it to really work incredibly well, and so that can be sort of seen in many different ways, but. I think that there are some people that you sort of immediately have some kind of sort of recognition of sort of. I'm going to use all the wrong words here because there's not shared values. There's nothing to do with that. There is chemistry is the right word actually. I think and that does help because it eases things along. I think it also makes it easier to progress. The other thing is, I think that and I have no basis for this, but I also knew that Max was somebody that I could trust. And the relationship we had was, I thought it was sort of mutually, it was a mutually sort of respective sort of, relationship. And I think that's really important because then it opens up the conversations. And of course, that all goes without saying. But if you're two people actually who are not experts in this field, to be quite honest, I was a novice mentor. I think that's really important.
Max, you were nodding along there when John.
Yeah, no, I was also going to say as well, I think we had shared interests because I think we started talking over a beer about that John had done his the carbon footprinting things. And a lot of my role is supporting growers with their carbon footprints, making them more accurate, helping them with finding areas where they can reduce their emissions. So that also helped. So we had shared interests. So that was useful.
And what do you think, Max? You obviously identified that it would be a good thing to experience yourself and maybe equip you with skills to mentor in the future to improve your position or your behaviour as a mentor with other people in the team. What do you think it was that clicked? Was it a technical understanding that you both held, or and John said it's not a values thing, but actually some of it is about life values, and not just how we behave at work, but how we behave and expect in life.
Yeah, I guess it was probably just that mutual respect for each other. I think is why it worked. So I think it worked well because we both respected each other's time. There was no, last minute changes, cancellations. Not any. If we, no, I wouldn't say they use the word homework, but if there was anything that was sort of like suggested actions, they were acted upon. They weren't just, let's just start again from scratch each session. There was like steps through. So I think we probably that respect of each other's time was probably the thing that I would say I recognized.
And I think right at the very beginning, I remember there was quite a clear set of objectives for the 6 months, and I found that quite easy to deal with Max, whereas it's not always that easy because it takes quite a bit of time to get down to the nub of actually what do we want to get out of this. But I think we sort of got down to that pretty quickly, which just makes everything much more productive.
Yeah. So who set the agenda for what it was that you needed to discover about the process?
I would really like to say that I did that, but I don't think I did. I think actually because I think our conversations were very free and easy right at the very beginning. And actually, I think we both revealed stuff about it ourselves that I think those set of objectives came quite quickly. But Max, was there an agenda? I can't remember.
I think there was the loose structure provided for the TwoCan framework, if you like. Yeah. But then I think there was normally a beginning, a middle, and an end. So there was a loose structure that we got into. I don't think it was formal, but I think it was there, or at least I remember writing notes, and we would go back to those notes, like I think the action points in the book and things.
Yeah.
So I think that there was a framework in the structure because of what was provided to us from TwoCan. But I think for me, I just also remember just trying to make sure that I brought things to the sessions just to make sure that they were
absolutely
valuable for us both.
Yeah, you did. Actually, you're absolutely right. You did. And I remember when you got out your book and you'd been writing, I thought, oh, bloody hell, I should have been writing in my book. But I had this notebook that I just do everything in. And the thing is, if you have one notebook, I can just go back to everything in my life in that notebook. But no, you're right. Actually, I think actually, were you asking about, because Beverly was saying whether Max was going to go on a mentor as well. Was that your question beforehand?
Well, yes, I think having decided this is what he wanted to do, it's not just where he was at now in his career, but how he might use it in the future.
Right. Yes, because I think personally, just my own personal opinion on that is I think Max would make an amazing mentor. He's very structured and he's a very good listener. And so we did have a conversation about that. I think Max would make an amazing mentor. He's mentoring people anyway, to be honest.
And
that's nice to know. It's a vote of confidence.
well, I've met you too, and I remember putting forward some very thoughtful responses to the questions in the training session that we were in. So you're a thinker. What was there anything about the process that surprised either of you?
What surprised me, I think, is how much I got out of it. And I felt actually that we sort of mentored each other to a certain extent. Because I was the mentor, we did focus on the mentorship of Max, but also, I also felt it was appropriate to bring up one or two things about my situation, because I'm actually dealing with people more Max's age, and I also found that I could ask Max questions about the way that I dealt with things. And also the other thing is that as somebody who's really, if Max was working for me, it was really good to get Max's take on how I should be dealing with people in my own business by hearing how he was dealt with within his business. And so that was incredibly valuable for me. And I would say that we've changed stuff here since I mentored Max.
Fantastic. And how, Max, are things different for you now, having completed the program? What have you noticed about yourself or your processes?
I think probably. So when I first joined BerryWorld, we did this training called Insights, where you identify like your personal profile, and mine was strongly like analytical and like data and analytical, and the one that was least was being kind of direct and honest and things. So because of the mentoring sessions basically force you to be a bit more open and honest. I'd say that's probably the change that I've spotted. Is I'm just so much more probably open with people and better at maybe navigating more challenging and difficult conversations. It's probably the thing that I've noticed in my line of work, I would say.
So is that like, as in pushing yourself forward, so have a bit more permission to put your ideas forth rather than waiting and thinking it through? It's this classic thing, isn't it, about the extrovert and the introvert?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also that kind of thing of how to disagree, making sure you disagree agreeably is fine.
Yeah.
So just voicing your opinions and just making sure you're just better at having those constructive, difficult conversations.
Yeah. And so, John, you've said you've taken something out of it as well. What was your mindset going into the program when you were considering it?
Sorry, do you mean about anything that I've changed, or do you mean that just my general mindset before being a mentor?
Your general mindset about mentoring as an approach, had it occurred to you in the past?
I think, okay, so I can easily answer that question. So mine was about, I think that we have very good relationships with the people that work for us. But the one thing I learned from Max, I thought I was being honest and open, and I thought I was very good at that. But actually, in reality, I wasn't honest and open enough. And so I've changed. And actually, fun enough, we had a health and safety meeting this morning. We always have one before harvest. And, just sort of laying yourself bare and actually making sure that it's being honest about people's expectations within the business as well. It's about, don't say something you're not going to deliver it. Don't say something, and it's about honesty, because sometimes we say things that just chivvy the job along and it just gets it off your desk. And it always comes back to bite you. It's never a good policy. And I definitely got that from Max. And we don't want to go into any detail because this is all sort of confidential stuff, but he really helped me with that. And that's been not just a positive effect for me; it's been a positive effect for everyone who works for us. I mean, I haven't asked them that, but I hope it. I feel that it has. Actually,
Get that sense.
Funny enough, and actually after the meeting this morning, somebody came up to me and said, that was the best meeting we've had. He said, I felt that everybody was much freer than they've ever been. And then he said to me, because in the past, people have been slightly suspicious.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I took that as a definite bit of progress on my part.
It's funny, isn't it? In a leadership position, it becomes harder and harder to think about how to frame things that are accepted or well received by people who are maybe 20, 30 years behind you in career terms. To recall how you would have felt at that point in your career, being told by the boss that we're going to be doing X, Y, Z or whatever. It's very difficult to step back into that, don't you think?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, Max, have you taken any actions, deliberate actions, or made any decisions that you wouldn't have held or achieved before this relationship?
Any actions well, so I mean, in terms of actions, raising the awareness of the benefits, I guess, of mentoring. So speaking up about the benefits of it as well. So there's wider impact and encouraging people to, if the opportunity comes available, to get involved either as a mentor or a mentee, because it can have a lot of impact. So yeah, so I'd say that's probably one of the main actions. Yeah, I'd say that's probably I think that's the number one action, really.
What advice would you give somebody looking to do it?
Why, either as a mentor or a mentee, or both?
Yeah,
I think probably goes back to what I said about the kind of openness and honesty. It's probably just making sure that you build that relationship with your mentor or your mentee, so that vice versa, it works both ways. You can both be quite open and honest with each other, so that the support and guidance can be as constructive and as useful as possible, so that there's no reluctance to disclose anything that's challenging or you're finding difficult, because you feel that your mentor, for example, isn't going to judge you because you have that relationship. So you can kind of bring that to the session, and then likewise the mentor can offer you that support and guidance, really. So I think I would say make sure that before you go into it, that you feel that you can feel open with someone, and that you can take constructive feedback as well.
Yes, yeah. Now I'm thinking, when you said that, I'm thinking of something that my mentor, and we probably only spent 2 hours in conversation up to this point, but she very quickly picked up on one of my behaviours, if you like, and just gave me some feedback that just cut straight through to it. And that's what we lose, isn't it? If we think about our peer group or support group or your boss giving you feedback, they've come to know you, and then there's, how do I deliver this information so that I can still get the best out of them or not hurt their feelings or boost that individual? Whereas good mentoring just cuts to the chase, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, the only thing that I would say on a less technical side of things would be just to make sure as well that you're good at setting those boundaries, because it could easily lead to something else. Could lead to more like counselling or therapy, which is actually not the point of mentoring. But I think that's the strength of TwoCan, is that it does, you are formally trained, so you are made aware about how to kind of set those boundaries, build that relationship in a mentoring capacity rather than more than that.
Yeah, that struck me right from the beginning. Something we haven't spoken about, but for anybody watching this who hasn't an understanding of the program, it kicks off, really, doesn't it, with mentors and mentees being potentially partnered with one another, but at that point you don't know, but you're all in the room together, having the same training and understanding of what the expectations are. And I think, can you remember any part of that training that stood out more than others? 2 or 3 people I've spoken to, they all come back to the same part of it, which is odd. It was meaningful for them. It wasn't for me, but there you go, that's the difference.
I think I always try and remember the difference between mentoring, coaching, counseling, and like traditional therapy.
The differences between them.
Yeah, the difference between all of them. I remember that because that's how it framed the boundary setting. The boundary setting piece. That was my takeaway. Just remembering that it is mentoring, and this is the purpose of mentoring, and this is the differences between mentoring and, say, coaching.
Yeah. Do you remember the listening exercise?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And we've all been on courses probably where, you sit back to back and you try and recall what the other person said and the information, and it's all about how much the brain retains. But I thought it was a really good take on how easy it is for our own thoughts to distract us when we're in the act of really trying to listen to understand.
So do you know? Yeah,
Immediately,
that was that was the bit that I remembered. It was actually because I went out of the room to come back and talk about a subject, and people had put their hands up when they thought about something else, and I had no idea where they were putting their hands up, and I was going, "Oh my God!" And no, that really struck me. The other thing that it was as Max said, it was the so sort of honing on what she were trying to do, and it's not counselling. I have to say that I did find it very difficult, and I still do find it difficult not to give advice. It's very difficult because when you have a sort of clear situation and you just want to say, "Oh gosh, this is what I think you should do," and I definitely did say that to Max, and I continually have to correct myself. I find that very difficult, especially if you've got some experience in an area and you just want a quick fix, and you think, "Gosh, if you just did that, this would just help." And I have to say, I've found that difficult.
And
sorry.
I was just going to say, and on that, I remember me and John talking about during the training session there when we did the drama and empowerment triangle. I remember John was a fan of the old drama triangle.
Funny enough, we did a panel at Grousel. We did a thing called couples therapy. My wife and I, and they went through the drama triangle. And I spent my whole life trying to get out of the drama triangle.
That's the one part that most people refer to is that is memorable for them.
I love that.
The listening exercise, it's funny, and yeah, it's vital that people understand going into this that it isn't about directly giving advice, not for any legal reasons, but just because from a mentorship best practice. But the fact that you found it hard means that you're conscious of it when it starts to sort of come into the conversation, and then that's half the battle, isn't it? I love that. I also was the person nominated to go out of the room and then come back in and start talking about something. I forget what it was that I decided to natter about. But the minute people started to distract me, ignore me, look like they had something else on their mind, just absolutely did me in. So I obviously thrive on being listened to, but I've learned more. Perhaps not apparent today, but it's a Friday afternoon. It's been a long week, but I've learned to listen more. Try not to get too distracted. Lovely. So it's been a while now since you completed it. Max, have we tempted you into the mentoring piece going forward? There's another cohort starting in October, I think.
Is there? Well, yeah, I mean, I'd be open to it. I'm not going to be in the country in October. That could be a challenge. But
no, well, that'll be the training day, which you've attended anyway. So
oh, fine, okay. Well, yeah, it probably would be open to it. Yeah,
it hasn't killed off your enthusiasm for that. I think you need to push ahead because clearly you've gotten a lot from this process. I think, and you said you're more open to doing things now, so perhaps it's just pushing ahead on that envelope.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
And John, what plans for you? You said you're just about to start harvest.
Yes, it's just about to start harvest, and my new mentee is a farmer as well, also getting married in July, and so we've just postponed our next session till after harvest. So yes, a very different prospect, which is good. It's definitely very different to Max. So it's all interesting.
Good. Great. Well, thank you guys very much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time this afternoon. As we said, managed to get a window when the weather's not too stinky, but it'll be back again next week, won't it?
Apparently so, yes. Yeah.
Into another heat wave. But no, but thanks very much. And enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to chat.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
What a delight it was to talk to these two gents. I really hope you enjoyed the chat as much as I did. Well, if you'd like to find out more about how mentoring could impact your career, irrespective of which part you play, mentor or mentee, why not take the time to check out TwoCan Mentoring today? You can find all the details on their website, twocanmentor.co.uk. That's TWOCAN Mentor, all one word. Thanks for listening today. As always, if you've enjoyed the episode, why not leave me a comment or share it with a friend? Special thanks to Helen Wyman and the TwoCan team for working with me on the podcast. Hit subscribe or follow for more episodes on mentoring, as well as my usual ramblings. But for now, if it is past your bedtime, well, perhaps it's time to turn in. Until next time.